Great. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are in this time zone. I'm Manish Pandey, your host today for this very exciting webinar. In fact, I'm very excited because we're going to talk about AI and, in fact, the impact of AI in the financial institution industry, banks and credit union both. And I'm joined by a very special partner of ours, David, and we'll talk about David. Introduce him. I mean, most of you already know him already, but some logistics before that. This webinar will be recorded, so if there is any concern from anyone, let us know now. I mean, I think I have to say that one, so I'm going to say that. But you already know that it's going to be recorded. Second, we would like this to be very conversational, so please fire your questions in questions tab. You'll see that on the right hand side of your screen. So feel free to shoot those questions any point of time, and we're going to save some time to take as many questions as we can towards the end. With that, I'm Manish Pandey, and I'm very excited to be here. Just to introduce myself, many of us would have crossed paths in past for sure. Before joining JIFFY.ai, where I'm responsible for leading the product strategy and go to market for the company, I worked for Fiserv most of my life. And if you have used any of the Fiserv products around Pop Money, Mobility, Secure Now, or robotic process automation solutions, there is a chance that we would have crossed path in last 17-18 years or so. But I'm even more excited to have David, I mean, very well-known figure in our industry. David is a partner and chief operating officer of VPCTech. He led DNA. Yes, you heard right. He led DNA leadership role for many years, and many others around Fiserv products. David, of course, has partnered with many banks and credit unions to help them, drive technology adoption, implementations, setting up a very successful journey, across the life cycle. David, welcome to our Fireside chat.
Thank you, Manish. Delighted to be here.
Great. So I just want to jump and start the conversation with David, because I think that's the most exciting part of it. However, just to set the context, I mean, the first and foremost thing that we all need to talk, that why even we having this conversation, why there's a need for us to have this, fireside chat. So, many of you are hearing this word AI, and it's been a very burning topic, in our industry. And there is a reason behind that, right? I mean, if you think about this, what is the most difficult thing in any business? Win consumers, not just win, but also quickly start business with them. How long does it take for your consumers to successfully start any business post account opening? Every single day delay, onboarding causes loss, and it's time to revenue. But if you lose more than 25% of your consumers in onboarding stage, this is not helping the cause. The recent data trends show that more than 25%, in fact, almost like 33% of consumers you lose even before they are onboarded into your systems. And to me, it's a straight revenue loss. It's a business loss, right? I don't think anyone can afford that kind of loss that we are seeing here. Why this is happening, we'll talk more about that, but first we just want to understand what's going on in the industry and why we need to have this conversation. Right now, to support that argument, if you look at another data point here, why onboarding is a problem in the banking and the financial services industry. Too many steps, too much of manual intervention, it's too slow, takes too much time, and many of those factors, right? I'm not going to read all of that, but gives you an idea that why 25% of them are dropping at the onboarding stage. Well supported by one more data point here. This is a great worry for me. I think we all should be very worried, because if you look at the trend on the right hand side of this screen, across the, irrespective of how big you are or how small you are, there is definitely a dent into new checking or deposit accounts, consumers are opening with you. Whereas if you look at the right-hand side of the screen, you see the growth in digital banks and fintech. I'm sure they are doing something right. That's a topic for a different day. But for today, I mean, we definitely want to address that why there is a challenge happening, right? And now take this conversation forward, and I'm going to rush through some of these trends so that we get to our main agenda where we want to have a conversation with David. But once those consumers are onboarded, it's even more difficult to keep them happy. And when you're talking about a situation where more than half of them are saying that, hey, one bad experience, and I'm going to switch the primary financial institution, and I'm going to repeat that, one bad experience, and they are willing to switch the primary financial institution and go and do banking with somebody else. That's very profound to me. I mean, consumers today are very, very clear, right? We are all consumers, and we said very clearly and openly that, hey, we want what you want, and when we want, and howsoever we want. It's called empowerment. The question is that, are the consumers empowered, using the right technology to self-serve them, or employees are empowered to serve the consumers? The problem is that there is a gap in the service. There is a friction there, and it's making really hard for consumers to feel that kind of experience. And if you think that way, then it's no surprise that more than almost like every consumer have got at least one fintech account. And that kind of supports the initial data point that you saw, where you saw the growth in the fintech or digital only banks checking account. So where is the problem? And I'm sharing all these data points coming from your peer group, right? So many of you already have seen this. I'm sure you are talking to your colleagues and peers to understand. So shouldn't be any surprise. But the question is that, okay, let's dive into this. Where is the problem? They are saying, more than 50% of them are saying that, hey, our legacy cores are the kind of root into the problem. Now, of course, they have served the purpose, right? They are important system of records. But in today's ecosystem, we're talking about speed to market. How can we quickly turn around? How can we service the request? How can we launch products quickly? And that requires integrations with the ecosystem. It requires our ability to spin up something and get in front of the market very quickly. Across, but it's making hard because of the siloed systems, lack of integrations, data setting everywhere, and it's driving the concern. And it's too many data points here. So I'm going to quickly kind of now come to the point where, what is the promise of AI? Why AI has gained so much of significance? Why people are talking so much about this one now, right? Why this is the most buzzing, hot topic in our industry? If you look at these 4 points here on the screen, there are not many technologies or tools available in our industry which touches upon pretty much all the strategic themes. When you talk about strategic themes, you're talking about revenue, you're talking about the cost, you're talking about operational improvements, you're talking about empowering your consumers or driving the entire consumer experience. AI is touching upon all of that, and this is coming from a survey conducted across 500 global financial services experts, and they are talking that why use of AI-powered solutions is kind of touching the revenue, the cost, the operational excellence, and then of course improving the customer experience. Then and this is no surprise that as you see on this screen, that AI has featured into our top 3 investment areas for 2023 and beyond across the financial services industry. It says retail banking, but it kind of includes pretty much everything that we're talking here. And then the last but not the least here, if you look at where your peers, banks and credit unions are making investment in AI technology, you see the trend going up. Last 4 or 5 years, I mean, it's been a massive investment in AI. Banks are going, on their own, and they are either partnering, acquiring, investing into, or partnering with some vendors to leverage those technologies, right? So combination of all of that. But the point here is that I mean, your peer groups are seeing the need for them to have some kind of investment activity going into the AI technologies. And that leads to my final trend slide here, and then we jump into our conversation with David, is that there are, if you look, and we've been talking to a bunch of CXOs, CIOs, CTOs, and the chief innovation officers, chief digital officers, and those kind of business folks too. And there are kind of 4 key themes coming up, right? And that feeds into our conversation, with the AI adoption. They want to differentiate with, creating the profound experiences. We talked about that. They're looking to reduce and reuse, especially the kind of macroeconomic factors that we are seeing in the economy. How do we harness the data? How do we unlock maximum efficiency across the organization? And that's exactly goes into one of the slides we talked very quickly, the application of AI, right? So with that, I think you get a sense that the theme I started, that hey, why we should be talking, why there's a need for us to have this conversation, right? Just wanted to kind of bring some industry insight, some trends, what we are hearing from your peer group, what we are hearing from the experts in the industry, and all leading towards the one point that hey, we got to do something. We got to do something, and the AI probably AI powered solutions. Actually, when I'm saying AI, I'm talking about the application of AI, right, into solutions. So AI powered solutions are going to help make a difference in many ways. But we do want to hear from David. So hey, David, we're going to jump back into our conversation, if that's okay with you.
Excellent.
And and I will straight away jump into the first point that I wanna call here. You good?
All good.
Cool. So you got to see the trends and insights from our peer group. You talk to many of them almost every day, right? And you are sitting in the C-suite, and you have these conversations. So why don't we start from here, David? That why it's important for FIs, financial institutions, to adopt AI, right? Point number one. And then when you are talking to the C-suite, what are you seeing there? What conversations you are having?
Yeah, thanks, Manish. Thanks for having me here. This is a very urgent topic and very relevant today. First, a little bit about VPCTech and where we engage. We have 2 practice areas. We're a professional services firm, about 33 of us now, and we engage with our financial institution clients in 2 ways. One, we help them with digital transformations. Those journeys are big and complex, and we have lots of expertise getting from one system to another, or many to many, or anywhere in between. The other way that we engage is once a financial institution is leveraging technology and has gone through that digital transformation, how do they get the best ROI the most quickly? And so you can imagine that we're involved in a lot of conversations pre and post conversion, and that puts us in a good spot to understand what's challenging these financial institutions, and also what opportunities exist in front of them. And so the themes that we're hearing align largely to the last slide that you presented. I break them down into 2 types, 2 categories of challenges and opportunities. One's on the business side, and one's on the technology side. And then there's a lot of overlap between them. On the business side, the money flow and the competitive pressures are a huge issue right now, and that shows up in our world as attempts to grow deposits, retain customers, cross-sell products, and make it easy to onboard, service, and cross-sell and reduce fraud. Those use cases are extremely important to the business leaders at financial institutions. On the tech side, there's been significant investments, both capital and human, in transforming in core platform surrounds, and lots of applications. There's 20, 30 applications that lots of financial institutions are putting in front of their users to solve problems, and that becomes a problem in and of itself. Imagine having to train users on how to change the address of a consumer in 5 or 6 or 7 different systems. That becomes a little bit daunting. So the technology leaders are thinking about, how do I maximize the return on investment that I've made? How do I optimize the efficiency of my technology? How do I simplify the ecosystem for my end users and for my customers? And so the overlap that kind of connects the business and the technology, and we distill this into a very simple theme. They're both trying to leverage technology to drive efficiency and top line growth. And so I think AI unlocks, or at least facilitates the promise of technology to solve those problems.
That's great. I think those thoughts are very well, resonating. So it's also interesting, David, that we, unlike many other technologies, which are kind of primarily driven by the CIOs and CTOs, offices, we see a lot of, buzz coming from the business leaders also, like you mentioned, right, in this case, because I think there is a direct impact on some of the business goals they are trying to drive in terms of revenue, deposits, onboarding more customers, launching new products, and so on and so forth, right? So do you want to throw a little bit more light on that side, on the business?
Yeah, I think if we kind of double click on the business side of this equation, what they're confronted with, at least what we're hearing from them, is a complex set of applications that are not seamlessly connected. And so what that does, that shows up to the users within the financial institution and the customers and members of those financial institutions as a bit of a friction-filled ecosystem. It's not smooth, it's not easy, and in that is customer loss. You showed a slide with a metric around 25 to 33% of loss before even onboarding, and I think many of us probably have an experience that we can relate to even recently, where we get frustrated with the technology from our cell phone provider or our healthcare provider, and we just abandon and we give up and say we'll try later. That's a missed opportunity to satisfy a customer, to onboard a customer, and to retain a customer. And these customers and members are the lifeblood of a financial institution. It's where the deposits come from. It's where the relationships grow from. And so if the technology is not positioned to empower those experiences and make them easy, the business people suffer.
Yeah, very well said. In fact, I still see those, screens where, hey, can you identify the lamppost into the picture? I mean, would you believe it? And that one time, I feel like, oh man. But anyway, we'll move forward, right? So we're not going to identify the picture right now. But why now, David? Why there is a real sense of urgency that, hey, we got to do something with the AI-powered solutions?
Yeah, I think there's two big trends here. You tapped into one of them with the money flow. The fintechs and digital banks are getting a lot of attention. They're leading with technology. They don't have the traditional brick and mortar cost structure that a traditional financial institution would have and wants to continue to offer. And so they have an implicit advantage in that way. And so if financial institutions aren't doing something significant to change that dynamic, I think AI is that something significant. I think they're going to continue to be challenged and be a step behind just by virtue of the history of their growth, and what has made them successful is now a bit of a challenge. But it also could be an opportunity. The other urgency here is around efficiency and ROI. It's one thing to grow your customer base and grow the top line, but if you do that by throwing lots of human capital at the problem, if it's not scalable and sustainable, it really isn't going to be a solid model for the future. And so what we see is the need to do both, to grow the top line and improve the efficiency. And so the ROI acceleration is really what's at play here. How do we take the massive amount of human and technology capital, the financial investments that have been made by these institutions, and squeeze out of it more quickly the goodness that it offers? And how do we do it in a way that's innovative and new and not just throwing people at the problem?
Yeah, no, I think so. If I'm hearing it right, there you brought some really key in points here. Like, of course, you talked about the friction earlier on. Now you talked about how can we look at top line, and don't forget the bottom line, right? Because it's not one versus another. And many times we hear people that, hey, my focus is top line. Top line. Well, you can't do top line unless you are also looking at operational efficiencies and improving the bottom line, right? You can't hire so many people in the direct proportion. So I think you are hitting some really cool points there. So that explains the urgency, right? In fact, I remember 3-4 years back, there was a bank called N26. It's a digital only bank coming out from UK, and soon after its launch, it was kind of eating the breakfast and dinner from the established banks like Lloyds Bank in the UK region, and that was kind of phenomenal. That was beginning of the trend that we saw. Of course, rest is history, as they say, right? We'll move on, David. So I think we're touching upon some really cool point. But one of the things that when we talk to clients, banks, credit unions, they say that, hey, Manish, I think we get it. We understand that AI, or AI powered solutions are going to help us, no doubt about that. The questions are always around the use cases.
Mm-hmm.
Where do we apply that, right?
Yep.
What will make sense? So would you want to throw a little bit light on that part?
Yeah. I think the big and obvious ones are onboarding, servicing, cross-selling, and fraud. They are the ones that are very costly or not if you apply technology and AI to the solution, but they're also the ones that are high touch from a consumer perspective and from an end user perspective within a financial institution, and so they're ripe for optimizing. Knowing your customer is at the core of all of these. And so, how do you get deeper insights into the massive amounts of data to empower those experiences to be more lubricated, more frictionless, and easier for everybody? And so, I think if you go deep into those four journeys, those use cases, I think there's tons of opportunity to improve.
I think. So thanks for sharing those. Just for the benefit of the audience, so you kind of brought some really important use cases. It's kind of sometimes overwhelming to still hear that onboarding could be a challenge. Mm-hmm. Right? I mean, or servicing could be a challenge. We live in the age of Netflix and Amazons of the world, where you get those profound experiences all the time. But when you turn back and you are the same consumer and you access your bank or credit union, you have those broken experiences. And I don't think anyone likes it. None of us like it. None of our listeners like that situation. But the technology has failed them. Right? I think that's how I see it, that when technology has failed them, the adoption has failed them. But clearly, looks like that there is an opportunity here for them to adopt something which can solve problems around onboarding, servicing, risk management, compliance areas, cross-sell, upsell opportunities, right? And if I just add a little bit more, I still see, solutions, risk solutions where you have, they're configured by business rules, and and because of that, they will throw many of the false alarms. And then somebody has to go into that and evaluate all the false alarm, because you are you are supposed to do that, and 90%, 95% of them are false positive, and that's not really a good use of anyone's time. I mean, they lose a lot of valuable time. But anyway, so I'm sure our listeners, our colleagues in the industry are getting an idea that where do they apply the AI powered solutions. So one of the things that also comes in that same breath is that, so our industry has got a little bit educated around RPA, right? Robotic process automations. And, I think all of us have done some work around that in the past. So with that education, with that understanding, and with that adoption of RPA in the industry, the questions are always that, hey, why financial institutions now need to think beyond RPA?
Yeah.
Is there a need for them to think beyond RPA? So, I think they would love to hear your thoughts on that.
Yeah, I think RPA has its purpose, and it's robotic process automation, and that's the process of looking at a repetitive task that a human would do and applying bots to it by either recording or somehow creating an algorithm that would be repetitively performing those tasks with an input file and then have the output. And so if you can imagine yourself doing what that robot is doing, you're going to learn as a human over time where to improve. You're going to figure out, if you continue to do this process the same way, there's a certain number of these widgets you can produce in a minute or an hour. But if you apply a little bit of thought to it, maybe you can group some of these things and copy and paste in a spreadsheet. You can start to refine how you do it as a human. Well, RPA can't do that. AI can. AI and machine learning unlocks the potential of learning and injecting that learning into the process to become ever more efficient and productive. And so what might be able to be done by bots in RPA, maybe 5 per minute, 5 transactions, whatever those are, correcting fraud or reversing a fee. Something went wrong and there's 5,000 of these reversals you need to do. If you can imagine a bot doing that, it's going to have a static ability to, and a finite ability to solve that problem. But if you scale that up dramatically and look at more interesting use cases around onboarding and servicing and knowing your customer, going from knowing your demographics of your member and customer base to knowing your individuals within those demographics, that can only be done at scale with big data, machine learning, and AI. And so I think that mind shift is an important one, and it's transformative for technology and financial institutions.
That's great. Very well said. I think that was really good insight into that, because they have to move on. Like you said, RPA solved, achieved its purpose. But and the way I look at it, just to kind of add a little bit on that. The way I explain to myself that, hey, a use case has several different components. Again, going back to the onboarding or servicing, and the components may require you to have a workflow. It may require you to have a document processing. It may require integrations with different surround systems, and of course the core systems and the front-end systems, and all that are important pieces for anyone to experience straight-through processing of that use case. And it's about solving the use case. It's not about solving them into the pockets, right? And that's where if we solve everything together, then we create that straight-through processing, and not just automate bits and pieces here and there. So that's the reason, just adding to the point that we got to think beyond RPA, to drive the value to internal and external stakeholders. So with that, so it's making sense. We understand the use case. We understand why we have to think beyond RPA. We got the sense of urgency. The financial part, David, right?
Mm-hmm.
The big questions that people ask, that, hey, what's the cost benefit, right? How do we understand? How do we make a decision to invest into this one, right? So if you could share some light into how you are shaping up those conversations around how they should be looking at investment and return with AI powered solutions.
Yeah, so this is at the core of why we decided to partner with JIFFY.ai. It's a compelling story that you have and a compelling set of products and services. And I think our clients would benefit from that. And it looks like this. If you had access to a no-code solution that the business users could generate the capabilities that typically a technology team would be needed for, and it was in the cloud, and it was easy to start up, and it was low cost, then that's a pretty compelling offering. our clients would benefit from that situation. So let's tie it back to what we talked about in the first question, which is the business and technology feedback that we're getting. There's a strong overlap in one key area, and there's a few of them, but one that I'm thinking about right now, and that is there's a long list of projects that the business users are asking the technology team to deliver on. And so imagine not having to put a priority on one of those projects in that list with an overwhelmed technology group. Imagine if you're the business team and you've got the ability to easily create journeys that are AI based, that are quick to spin up, that enable your customers to onboard faster, that enable you to help with fraud use cases and servicing and cross-selling. Imagine not needing your tech team to be in the middle of that and be dependent on them. And so tech teams are great, but they've got a long list of things to do. This world is really tilted towards technology, and so that puts a lot of burden on those teams. And so I think the way that we are, trying to help our clients to optimize technology to solve business problems, this is a perfect fit for us. I think the ROI here with no code and cloud allows a quick spin up in the business segment of a financial institution that's a lot faster than just adding another project to the tech team.
Yeah, that's I think that's fantastic, the perspective that you brought. So, I mean, I think you hit upon the competing priorities, right? I mean, always there is more to do than what we have as bandwidth and resources. So there is always priority and juggling through that, and that makes sense. Over dependence or dependence on the very specialized skills that kind of slows us down, no doubt about that. So I think those are great inputs, that why and how they should be, financial institutions should be looking at adoption of AI-powered solutions. I think also it's very collaborative, right? It brings the user community to build on this. So it's not just the users are users now anymore; they are actually contributing too, and I think that's very powerful too. One more thing, if that's okay with you, I'll share that what we are seeing in terms of number in ROI from Jiffy perspective. So of course, we always look at, okay, if you don't have to use a no-code AI-powered solution to build an application, what do? You go the traditional way, right? And in the traditional way, if you're looking at the life cycle, it's not just the turnaround speed, at which you can get that application to the market, but if you look at the overall cost, I mean, we are seeing almost like 1000% ROI, and I'm not exaggerating that number. That's like, that's like a minimum that we are seeing. There's a significant upside to that. Plus, at the same time, what we are seeing that, hey, you could be with a platform like Jiffy, you could be 10 times faster in getting something to the market. And to me, that's invaluable. Time is the essence right now. I mean, everything needs to happen now. Things are changing so fast. So I was kind of just adding the perspective that we are seeing from ROI and payback perspective. So moving on. So you mentioned that of course there is a compelling reason that why we joined hands. VPCTech and JIFFY.ai. Do you want to kind of talk a little bit more on how our clients will benefit from this partnership?
Yeah, thanks for the opportunity for that. As we engage with our clients and prospects, we're finding lots of opportunities to help with automation and optimization of their existing technology. And I think the power of this platform and the ease at which it is to install it was compelling for us to bring it into that conversation. And so this is a new partnership for us. We're just starting to have these conversations, but they're exciting, and they're very forward-looking in terms of what not just the use cases are today, but what they might be 2 to 3 years from now. And I think that's for us a lot of fun to have those conversations, and also to bring that capability that we don't offer as VPCTech. We're a services company not a product company. And so finding folks like you out there that are solving these kinds of problems in a very unique way is very compelling for our clients.
Cool. And we think, if speaking on Jiffy's behalf, I mean, we think that kind of industry understanding, the credibility, the domain knowledge that David, you and your team brings on table is unparalleled. I mean, you've been in trenches, right? You have done it, you have seen it, you have you've helped clients kind of go through the entire life cycle, right? So that is very, very, I think, very important for our clients and for us. So we appreciate this partnership as well. So hey, I think we've got time for one last point here. Everything great. How do we start? Right?
Yeah,
I say that my mom used to tell me when I was a kid that, hey, good start is like half of the journey taken care already.
Yeah, I think it's important, like any project, big or small, to be very mindful of what you're trying to accomplish. That the why is as important as the how. And so we've been talking a lot about the how, but relating it back to the why is super important. And so knowing the ROI targets that you're trying to achieve, understanding the journeys that you want to tackle and phasing them, not trying to eat the elephant in one bite. These are all basics of change management and project management, and they apply here as well. So I think, if we think about the kinds of use cases we've been talking about, onboarding and servicing and cross-selling and fraud, I think it's identifying where the hotspots are for any particular financial institution. Some may have a lot of that solved already, some may be just trying to solve it, and some may be kind of somewhere in the middle. And so figuring out where those hotspots are, where the priorities are, where the ROI is most important, prioritizing them first, and then defining what success looks like in terms of quantifiable results, and then breaking the problem down into phases. That's what we prescribe to our clients all the time, and it's been very helpful to them.
Very well said. So hey, I think it's time that we will take up some questions from audience. So I'm gonna sum it up, Dave. Very quickly, and of course we will not spend too much time. But I think what we learned so far, that a combination of both organizations here. I mean, I think we are well placed to help our clients start the journey, then navigate the journey successfully. Decide on how to adopt this AI-powered solution, where to implement it, what kind of business cases they need to create in terms of getting the financials in the right shape, both investment and ROI. And then if of course, and help them solve problems around onboarding, servicing, unified customer review, compliance, all that kind of stuff, which are very, very important business use cases, right? And like you said, the capabilities are there in the platform, and on that we have created those solutions. We call it hyper apps, which are kind of helping our clients very efficiently solve those problems. So I'm not going to spend too much time on that. Let's open up and see if there are questions. And of course, our clients will have opportunity to talk to us after this or later on, and we can go deeper into that. So moderator, do we have any questions coming from audience?
See one in the chat there. You see it?
Let's see. I am having trouble opening.
That's fine. I'll go ahead. There's two that have come in. I'll just go ahead and read the first one. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah.
Okay. What do you see as the biggest challenge that financial institutions face in implementing AI-powered solutions?
That's a great point, David. Do you want to take a first shot and then I'll follow your lead?
Yeah. Yeah, my perspective on this is it's a buzzword these days, and so there might be some apprehension in the C-suite to rush in without understanding fully what the ROI would be, and also whether or not to trust the vendors that are trying to sell AI solutions to them. I think if you trust your partners and their partners, I think that will help with the second point. And on the first point, I think it's incumbent upon the leaders of financial institutions to vet these solutions, to get comfortable with a tangible use case, proven track record of deployed customers, and experience, positive experience in their vertical. And I think, that's one of the reasons we partner with JIFFY.ai, because you check all those boxes.
Yeah, I think you covered it. Like you said, it's a new technology, right? So people need to be kind of very clear that how to adopt, where to adopt, and who has done it successfully, and all that. And I think we have, of course, we have a limited time window here, but I think we have several examples. We'll be happy to talk through that more at some other opportunity or one-on-one. But we understand that there is absolutely a need for us to have these conversations well in advance, so that we set the right approach, set the right time horizon, and how do we build the champions within the organizations to really make sure that it's communicated well, right? Okay.
Here's another question that came in. Again, I'll read it. Based upon the many common challenges that financial institutions face, where do you suggest a financial institution get started with their AI journey in order to demonstrate a quick win?
Yeah, I tried to touch on that a little bit towards the end. I think it's going to depend on each financial institution situation. There are existing hyper apps that JIFFY.ai has developed specifically for financial service institutions that do things like address change. And so, those are easy wins to take existing off-the-shelf hyper apps and get them stood up. It's a cloud offering. It's no code and an existing hyper app. If you're looking to prove the technology and get something deployed and get a quick win, that would be a good way to go. Now, that assumes that that's a valuable use case for you. If it's not, if you've already got a good way to process address changes throughout all of your platforms, not just your core, not just your online banking, not just your credit card platform, right? If you've got that all figured out, then obviously that wouldn't be a great place to start. But there's several of these hyper apps that exist on the shelf today that could be plugged in relatively quickly in a matter of weeks. That's the beauty of the solution, that it stood up quickly without a big, complex, human capital investment and training process. And so I think it's about picking the thing that's most valuable and simplest in your ecosystem. I love the question, because that's a good way to test, kind of kick the tires and test out the solution, and then build on that success over time.
Manish, anything else you want to add to that?
And I think David covered it very nicely. I mean, like you said, it's about the priority, right? I mean, let's say if a bank or a credit union is looking to solve, I'll go on the onboarding side, right? So if they're seeing that there are a lot of customers or members dropping at the onboarding stage, or there is a friction at the onboarding, start there, right? Solve your onboarding problem. But as you go on the servicing side, like I said, it's kind of amazing that in today's world we still deal with the contact information update problem, which is a real problem, by the way, right? And then you have things like card management, travel notifications, loan related use cases, loan payoff, generating on-demand statements, releasing the collaterals after completion of the loan. All those have tons of manual interventions, and they are kind of creating the same friction that David talked about, or experiences that we are all aspire to pass on to our members or customers, but we are not able to do it. All that could be a good place. It just depends on what are the immediate priorities you have. Again, like I said, the beauty is that you don't have to wait for the next set to solve the problem, 12 months or 18 months. You can very quickly solve those problems by adopting these technologies and solutions, because the deployment time is unlike the traditional approach, is very, very fast. So you just start servicing, onboarding anywhere, but you can solve all those very, very quickly.
Right. And this question did not come in from the audience. It's my question, and I'm sure you've just stated it, Manish, but I'm just going to ask you to reinforce it here. When you look at this slide here and everything that Jiffy does, obviously working with our partners like VPCTech, what really sets Jiffy apart? Because everybody's got something going on with AI. But what really sets us apart as our financial institutions want to start and succeed on this AI journey?
Yeah, I think great point. I did not leave the slide on, intentionally, but it's just there. See, as we're looking at this slide here, I mean, you see there are different modules, the green boxes highlighted, and why they are highlighted, like digitizer or document extraction or connectors. These are the important ingredients for you to achieve or solve any complex business use cases. You need to read documents, right? If you talk about onboarding or servicing, there are many cases where you receive those documents, and documents come in all shape and sizes. They could be ID proofs, they could be PDFs, they could be Word documents. Some are handwritten notes. They come, and you got to have a capability to extract and read that information. So that's one. Then you should be able to talk to different systems into the ecosystem. Today, the biggest challenge, and we saw in one of the data that, hey, the legacy core systems are siloed systems. You can't just talk to them, and if you can't talk to them, then how do you get data inside there, and how do you get data outside, out from there? And they are the system of record, right? So they should be so flexible that they should allow anyone to get inside and get out very, very quickly. Otherwise, the system of record is just like old style bookkeeping. We don't need that old style bookkeeping anymore. We need much more nimble. But that's where our connector framework makes a huge difference. We can talk to any system in a matter of minutes or hours, right? And then, of course, and not to go into too much detail here, but still there are physical forms like PDF documents, and you want to use a capability which can digitize and create a digital form, and that's where we have a capability. So you see those 6-7 boxes there in the in the second row from the bottom, and that sets us apart. People are solving bits and pieces of the problem using the AI technologies today. So they are solving document management, or they are solving RPA, or they are solving the connection issues. And there are some good solutions in the market. I mean, I love what they're trying to do. What we stand for is that we want to solve end-to-end. We want to become, and as the heading says, it's a one-stop solution. We are truly one-stop solutions, along with, like I said, along with our partner here. So we want to make sure that we partner effectively with our clients across the journey, and it's not like, hey, we come here and solve one problem and we are out of it. No, we are putting our skin in the game. Hopefully I answered that.
Yes, you did. I was just saying on mute that was great.
Okay.
The only other point I was going to make is, if someone wants to reach out to you directly, is LinkedIn the best approach? You might just post it. You might just share your thoughts on how to contact you.
Yeah. So we will. I think our team will want to share the recording to the people who attended, and they want to listen to or share among their peer group, organization, colleagues, so they will have ability. Those who could not make it today, we understand something comes up right last minute, so they will also get the recording if you have registered. Along with that, we will share our contact details. So LinkedIn, of course, but there will be other email IDs will be shared where you can approach David, me, and we will be more than happy to either have a one-on-one conversations or in any form you want to have a follow-up conversations. We will be willing to do that.
Great.
So with that, I think we're going to say thank you to everyone who attended. And then of course, David, thank you for joining us. I think the audience was, they would have loved everything that you said. Very insightful and kind of completely came from the the experience that you have again sitting in the C-suite office all day long, right? So thank you again. Thank you everyone, and until next time, we say bye bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.